This is What's Wild in New Hampshire by wildlife biologist Terra Corp. Hey, I'm with Dan Bergeron. Dan Bergeron here at Fishing Game headquarters in Concord. And Dan, we got some hearings coming up this week, so maybe you can announce again when those are. I know one is what, Thursday here at headquarters
Yep, first
in
one.
Concord.
So these are our biennial wildlife rule hearings. So this is when we go over all the information for making adjustments to hunting seasons. The first hearing is here Thursday night at headquarters in Concord. Starts at 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
Yep. And then we'll also have another meeting next Tuesday, which is going to be at Keene High School, also at 6 p.m. And then our final meeting will be next Wednesday, 6 p.m. up at our Lancaster office.
So, what are New Hampshire sportsmen and women looking at for any changes here? I think I heard there's maybe liberalizing some of the deer and maybe bear seasons.
Yep.
You got anything going with turkeys or moose? What's going on with the four big species?
Yeah, so deer, with deer, there's going to be some additional either sex hunting opportunity in a number of our wildlife management units. For the most part, we continue to see relatively mild winters, which obviously helps with the deer population, productivity, and survival. So we're looking to expand opportunities.
Adding days of
Yep.
either sex days.
Yep. Also with our bear, particularly in our White Mountains region, where we're above our objective there, we're looking at additional opportunity. And this is a bit different than anything we've done in the past, where we're looking at an additional bear tag, where people can take an additional bear.
Really?
In
Wow.
those management units within the White Mountains region.
Well, that's a first. Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
last year's bear take last fall was over 1,000, so the second highest on record is what, 1,028 or something like that, or 168.
Yeah, and for the
So,
past several years, we've seen an increase in certain regions of the state, and White Mountains continues to be above our population objective. So we're looking at additional ways. We feel like we're largely maxed out on the lengths of our season, lengths and timing of our seasons. So we're looking at additional ways to try and increase harvest there.
so robust bear population
It
and
is.
needs a little trimming in the whites.
Yep, in the whites. Yep.
And deer, you're adding 1 or 2 days. You see anything with the
Yeah, it depends on the wildlife
yeah.
management unit. It's typically a day or so
Yeah,
here and
deer
there.
trail. So no big changes.
Yeah,
It's
nothing
kind of
drastic.
dribble changes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of the big things with deer is we are going to an online registration system.
Yep.
So we will still have physical stations where people can bring their deer in person to have those registered, but there'll also be an online option, so it'll work similar to the way turkeys work
Yep.
since
Okay.
COVID took place.
And that should be in place this fall.
That will be in place
Wow.
this fall.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah,
Great.
and we kind of got the groundwork set up when we did turkey
Okay.
through COVID. Deer was a little different because we needed a change in state statute or state law to allow us to do that.
Okay.
The way our state law was written, we couldn't legally have online registration
Ah.
until that was changed. So that went through last year, and we should have an online registration system for deer up and running by this coming hunting season.
Now, how about turkey? Turkey, we're what, 3 weeks from or just over a month from the Youth Day, the 29th and 30th
Yep.
of April will be the youth weekend. And any changes to the turkey
So
regulations?
nothing for this coming spring,
Okay.
and typically the changes don't take effect until the following spring, just
Right.
because of the timing of
Right.
rulemaking. The rules aren't usually finalized
Right.
until after the spring season started. One of the changes we're looking at turkey is adding, I believe it was WMU I1, to the units where you can take an additional spring bird.
Okay.
The
That'll
other,
be for the 24 season.
yep, and then that's yes for the 2024 season. Probably the biggest thing with turkey is we're looking at banning the practices of reaping and fanning.
Okay.
Something kind of new that's taken hold in some more so in the southern states, but we started
Okay.
to see it here in New Hampshire, and it's largely a safety concern that
Okay.
we have.
All right.
There's videos of fanning and reaping online. The big concern is basically what a hunter does is they take a turkey fan and hide behind it and stalk up on the animal.
Okay.
And we actually had an incident in New Hampshire last year where a hunter stalked a decoy of another hunter. Fortunately, the hunter realized that the person was a person, not a turkey.
Okay.
But,
Yeah.
I kind of equate it to
Yeah.
I don't think anyone would argue that it would be a bad idea to put a deer hide and antlers on yourself and try and stalk a deer. We kind of see this as a
Yeah.
similar thing where
Okay.
it's a safety risk for
Okay.
people. So we want to prevent that practice so we don't have any issues.
Any other things within the division here of interest? Habitat work? What do you got going there? Anything
Uh,
else you'd like to mention? Any of the projects that are ongoing? Any research projects ongoing?
yeah, so we have within the game program we have two research projects going on right now. We have a monitoring project with fur bearing species. So that's a camera work that's been
Okay.
going on. We started that as a pilot project in the southern part of the state. It was camera tracks and track stations and looking at different ways to use to get additional indices on those populations. Um,
Yeah, we know our fisher and foxes seem to be on a slump for the
yeah,
last decade or so for some unknown reason.
we've seen declines in capture per unit effort. Fisher has seen the biggest declines. With Fisher in particular, we reduced bag limits pretty dramatically several years ago. Um, the CPU is largely stabilized, but the numbers are still lower.
Okay.
So we were looking to come up with a way to find additional indices for some of these fur bearing
Yep.
populations. The other issue with trapping is um, effort has declined pretty
Yeah.
dramatically.
Fur prices are down.
Yeah, total number of trapping licenses has been pretty stable,
Yeah,
but
around.
effort on individual species has dropped
Okay.
pretty far
Yeah,
off to
yeah.
the point where we're harvesting, 30 to 40 fisher across the entire state. So because of
It
that
used
low,
to be hundreds.
yeah, so because of that low pressure, we don't feel trapping is
Right.
the main cause of this apparent decline. So
Right.
we're looking into that. We're looking potentially to get some additional research going in the near future specific to Fisher, maybe some
Okay.
cause-specific mortality work.
Okay.
We have a current. We've had research going on with moose for a number of years. The
Oh, yeah.
current research we have going on right now is we did some early work with aerial surveys that we used to get our current index
Right.
going with our deer hunter
Yep, remember
observation
that.
surveys. It's been a long time since we've revisited that. We'd like to
Okay.
get a better handle on how accurate those still are. So we're looking to do
Okay.
camera work, which is nice because that's kind of in concert with the work we're doing with fur bearing
Great.
species. But also we're doing infrared aerial surveys, but with drones.
Ah,
There's some
a lot
limitations.
safer. Yeah.
Limitations with the terrain we have in northern New Hampshire
Oh, yeah.
for doing those aerial surveys. So this is a method we're going to try and see how that works. So we'll be able to compare the drone work that we do
Okay.
with the camera work, and then also the continued deer
Yeah.
hunter observation
Yeah.
surveys, and kind of see how they all match up with one another.
Right. So lots happening here in the wildlife division.
Yep, lots going on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Super. All right, Dan. Well, appreciate your time this morning. I promise, short and sweet. It's pretty short.
That was good,
Definitely sweet. You provided just the information our members are looking for. Thank you very much, Dan, and thanks again.
Great, thank
This
you.
is Wildlife Biologist Eric Orr for What's Wild in New Hampshire.